Biweekly.
Least worst option.
Awesome.
More unique or very unique.
Transportation.
Hey guys, I'm Eric.
I'm Grace. We're the Wandering Ravens.
We are a couple of Americans on a quest to learn everything we can about the UK. This YouTube channel documents our British journey. So if you fancy a couple of British culture videos 2 times a week, make sure you subscribe.
In case you are unaware, we are currently in the UK, and since arriving here, we have been tempted to use words that British people hate.
This isn't to say we've been wanting to use bad words in order to infuriate the general British public. No, these are just words that we naturally use in our vocabulary, but it has been brought to our attention that British people hate them. Oh, pity. So today we are going to be a little bit vulnerable. We're gonna put ourselves out there and list off some of the words and phrases that we use that British people can't seem to stop hating.
The thing about Americans that I've thought about the language is that they say they speak English, but they've had to change it to make them understand it more.
Number 1, revolution.
Number 2, awesome. Wait, I can't even do that anymore. Awesome!
Oh, I felt dirty just hearing that. Okay.
I didn't used to say this one actually that much, but you did. I noticed when I met you that you said awesome a lot.
I was a classic American lad, and that being the case, I would use this word quite frequently. Unlike the other words on this list, this one is one that we used to use, but we've stopped saying. We've mentioned this in videos before. Americans really like to use large, colorful adjectives, and their favorite large and colorful adjective is the word awesome. How was the dinner? It was awesome. How was the movie? It was awesome. Everything's awesome.
How was your date last night?
Awesome. Everything is awesome.
Everything is awesome. Next up we have quaint.
I hope it rains later. It's so quaint, wet.
Many a well-intentioned American has accidentally offended using the word quaint, us included.
Prior to coming to the UK, I used the word quaint to mean enchanting, charming, lovely,
aesthetically pleasing.
But based off the comments we've received on some of our videos, British people interpret quaint, for the most part, to be a very derogatory thing. So when an American says that something is quaint, Brits think we're implying that it is old-fashioned and rustic, hillbilly-esque, behind the times, and that we're mocking them rather than complimenting them, which was my intention.
You said they take it to mean that we're mocking them, which was my intention.
No, complimenting. Complimenting. Another Americanism of ours is the tendency to use the phrase 2 times as opposed to twice. For example, usually at the beginning of these videos, we will say, make sure you subscribe to this channel for fresh British culture content 2 times a week. And under nearly every video, we have at least a few people remarking on my or hers use of the phrase 2 times. I'm not really sure why we use 2 times as opposed to twice.
I know a lot of people do say twice, it's just not naturally occurring to us to use twice instead of 2 times.
That could just be the local dialect that we grew up speaking. But question for you guys, does this mean that you don't say the word 3 times?
Do you only say thrice?
So we're very sorry for making the faux pas of saying 2 times instead of twice. It's just natural for us to say that, I guess.
We will try to reform our vocabulary.
We will.
Another Americanism that British people hate is the phrase biweekly.
We're sorry about that. We're not trying to ruffle your feathers. It's just that biweekly is what we grew up saying.
I suppose that I would use the word fortnight if I had lived in 1775.
Yeah, fortnight is a very dated phrase in the United States, so we say bi-weekly.
I have never heard anyone in the States use fortnight genuinely. They've only ever said fortnight
Ironically.
Or in reference to video game? Is it a video game? Is that what that is?
Oh, right, it's a video game.
Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't even know if it was a video game or a movie. If you are an American and you're watching this and you say fortnight, where are you from in the US?
Fall. This is another supposed Americanism which British people love to hate. We've seen news articles and watched videos of British people going on at great length about the terrible usage of the word fall and how Americans are carrying this plague from the colonies across the Atlantic and planting it here in the Queen's good soil. Bad news though, if you are one of those Brits that believes that fall is an Americanism, it's actually from England. The word fall is believed to come from the Old English words fiel and phelan. So fall actually started here, made its way across to the United States, and then fell out of fashion in the UK, and is now making its way back again. But it's not an Americanism, it's an Englishism. So if you want to have another excuse to be mad at the English, there it is.
Also, most Brits assume that because we say fall in the US, we don't say autumn, which is not true. Many Americans, myself included, use the word autumn interchangeably with fall, and just as much. Next up, we have jelly. Now, we know that here in the UK, what you all call jelly, in the States we would call jello.
In America, there's a distinction between jam and jelly. Jelly, the primary ingredients are just fruit juice and sugar. Whereas with jam, you have elements of the fruit itself. So you have pulp, you have seeds, you got all that good fruity stuff. I believe here in the UK, you just call both of those things jam. And then there's also preserves, which is another thing we don't need to talk about.
And the marmalade.
Yeah. Less people, less animals, less cookies, less hate comments, please. As I'm sure will surprise many of you who have complained about my usage of the word less in the past, I actually understand the distinction between fewer and less. I am an English major from university, and so that is what I studied. So I know the grammar rules. But for some reason, whenever it comes to speaking, and I go to say a sentence that should have fewer, it comes out with the word less. It's just a force of habit, which, if I'm using myself as a case study, must mean that in the part of America where I grew up, the distinction between fewer and less isn't really something people care about. They understand that when I say less, I'm communicating fewer. They're both basically synonyms, and people allow me to get to my point and don't bicker about whether or not I'm using the right terminology. On the other hand, based on the grammar comments that I get on our videos, if I'd grown up here in the UK, my incorrect usage of the word less would likely have been kicked out of me by my parents, the neighbors, the grocers, and possibly even the Queen herself. So I thank you all for making up for lost time and kicking the less out of me now.
Bathroom. As an American, you would call any room with a toilet a bathroom, regardless of whether or not there's a bath in it. This is an Americanism that we've heard a lot of Brits become puzzled over. They ask, why would you call it a bathroom if there isn't a bath in it?
It's a bit of a euphemism, similar to how someone might ask for the ladies, or might say they're off to see a man about a dog, or off to shake hands with the unemployed.
We would also say this at like a restaurant.
Yeah, bathroom.
You
Where's
would
the
ask,
bathroom?
where's the bathroom? Which is obviously very incorrect because the last place you would find a bath is
At
in
the
a restaurant.
While I'm here at Olive Garden, may as well take a bath. So no one says the toilet. In America, it's a bit crass and rude to say toilet. Washroom sounds a bit old-fashioned.
Nobody would say that.
Ladies' room sounds a bit too posh and old-fashioned. Yeah.
We might use restroom though.
Oh, restroom. Yes.
Which is probably also another Americanism because you don't really rest there.
Well, I do. I curl up and take a nap.
So glad to get away from all of my friends and family at this restaurant who are driving me up the wall.
The best place to rest is right underneath the urinals because there's no stalls in the way, so you can just lay down flat. It's the least worst option. We've heard a number of people complain about our usage of the phrase least worst option, and I know that those commenters are not alone. I've read articles and seen videos of Brits complaining about this terrible Americanism that is the least worst option. Now, unlike my usage of the word less, which I admit is incorrect and is simply a force of habit, I'm actually gonna push back on this one a little bit because I feel like people that take issue with the phrase least worst option are simply being a bit pedantic. Because I do feel that the meaning is obvious. I'm simply listing off a list of options where I feel that each one is the worst, and so I'm being forced to choose what I consider to be the least worst option. To those of you who hate this Americanism, I'm sorry. You're gonna have to get used to it. My efforts to plant this deep into British soil has paid off because I saw it in a Telegraph headline yesterday. It read, "Breaking the withdrawal agreement is the least worst option." Blah. Breaking the It read, "Breaking the withdrawal agreement is the least worst." Oh my gosh. It read, "Breaking the withdrawal oh my gosh, what is wrong?" It read, "Breaking the withdrawal agreement is the least worst option," which might make sense in the context of Brexit, but is definitely not something you want to do in the bedroom.
Transportation. Most Brits they say transport. In America, we would say transportation.
So if we're talking about trains and buses, I would say public transportation, whereas here people would say public transport.
We also say mode of transportation, whereas in the UK, maybe you say mode of transport?
Another phrase that Brits have clobbered me to death over on at least 3 occasions is the phrase more unique or very unique. As it's been explained to me during the beatings, the UN part in the word unique means one. And so the word unique, when extrapolated, simply means one of a kind. And you cannot have scale when it comes to one of a kind. Either something is one of a kind or it is not. Which makes sense, and between blows, I can understand where they're coming from. But I would argue that there is no such thing as a one of a kind anything. Everything is at least partially inspired by or made out of something else, so you can't actually have an object or an idea or a thing which is truly one of a kind. C'est pas existe. So since it is impossible to use unique correctly in any situation, I think it is kosher for me to use unique in this casual, informal way of saying very unique or more unique. Because it makes sense. More unique or very unique simply conveys that you have multiple options which you think are special, custom, unique, and you are simply selecting the one that you think is more unique than the others.
Or very unique.
Or very unique. Also, to those Brits who hate the phrase very unique or more unique, I will have you know that I'm not the only person that uses absolute adjectives in this more casual, informal way. In fact, the awesome British man, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, has the character Sherlock Holmes say the phrase very excellent 2 times, which is just as incorrect as the phrase very unique. I'll rest my case by saying that while it may be fun for you to kick me in the street over my usage of very unique, there are at least worse things that you could be doing with your time instead. Quick question for you: what are some American words or phrases that you hate and that drive you wild and batty? Drop those down in the comments below and we'll let you know if we think the phrase or word is justified, as in the case of very unique, or if we agree with you that it is a terrible use of English, as in the case of the word awesome.
Also, if you're looking for a contender for the least worst thing you could do with your spare change, consider joining our Patreon.
Joining our Patreon unlocks 3 additional videos every week, live streams, and access to our private Facebook group. It also helps us afford video equipment and enables us to spend more time editing and less time at our day jobs.
If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, the link to our Patreon is in the description down below.
Again, I'm Eric.
And I'm Grace.
We're the Wandering Ravens.
And we'll see you in the next video.
Cheers!